comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and every nook and cranny that receives KPFT's 100,000 watt transmitted signal. You know, in those little boxes, those magical boxes called radios for those who still use it. And by the way, good morning to the entire world who receives our program through the magic of the internet. Like I say every time, created by you and me, not the billionaires, created by ARPANET, investments by the taxpayers in a government run of and by the people to actually do something. For a long time, we have learned to demean ourselves when we say government is no good. You know, folks, if we say government is no good, we're saying we are no good. Remember that. We have to have pride in we the people. And having pride in we the people mean being we the government, we the ones who govern ourselves, we the people. We have to get back into the frame of reference where it is we the people. I want you to think anytime you're talking about, government is no good, and you cede power to all the corporations, when you cede power everywhere else, what you've done is you've said we are not worthy. Just a select few are. I don't believe that, and I know you don't. But anyway, before we get into the program, we must get to the geniuses in the studio that really are the ones, and I don't say this as hyperbole, folks. Making things happen in a studio requires a lot of folk, or a small amount of folk who are doing a hell of a lot of work. And that's exactly what's happening on Caroline, at the transmitter, etc. Without further ado, El Senor Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Bibba.
Well, I have returned here. I was saluting my radio as you were going through your oratory there. You know, I had to look up what hyperbole meant because I didn't know what it meant. Like, okay, they keep using this word. Maybe I'm an idiot here. And some of the listeners would agree that, you know, Howard's a dumb person.
I don't think so.
But I did look it up and it's like, oh, okay. That is just mild for what the Orange Man says. And we've already got a caller calling in here. So let me go grab that caller. Jack, what you got, man?
Well, I had fun this morning. I came in and got the trash and got outside and left my keys inside, so I was locked out of KPFT for a little while until Howard came and rescued me. So no, I don't got nothing, but I tell you what, I'll do Oligarch's Pledge again.
Let's hear the Oligarch's Pledge, brother. Let's do it. It's a fitting.
Yeah, it is fitting. You know, I rewrote the Pledge of Allegiance for the oligarchs, their point of view of things. So here it goes. I pledge allegiance to the corporations of the United Empire of America and to the economy for which it enslaves all peoples, demonizes and devalues them, passes the profit to the elite 1% with punishment and tyranny for the poor. Slackers.
Well, I just stood up and saluted something else. I saluted my toilet, Jack, because that's just exactly what it is. It works. See, it works. Hey, you know, Tag is already on the line this morning from Michigan. So Tag is he just called in and said, "Hey, we're going to get in early because it's been hard to do because everybody's been calling you." So
Yeah, the
there you
phones
go.
have been well. Tag, let me tell you, I want to cover a local story first, then I'm going to jump to you, and then I want to cover a national story. And before I tag you, Tag, hey, I like that. Before I tag you, Tag, I am going to go with this local story that's very important. Harris County's Guaranteed Income Program, also known as Uplift Harris, is in danger. And yesterday we spoke about basic income. I don't remember in what context we spoke about it, but it's about giving people a helping hand, not a handout, but I repeat, a helping hand. I want you guys to understand something. There, yesterday I spoke about you go into the ghettos, the barrios, anywhere, Appalachia, no matter what, where the working classes are. And you find people at these bus stops in the mornings getting up. When you get up in the morning and you go and into the coffee shop line, whether it's be Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, wherever you get your coffee and donut, whenever you go to get your bagel, early in the mornings you go into your grocery stores. As you're driving to work at those little strip marts, you see a tired woman or man with crocodiles. That's what my daughter used to call when your eyes all fuzzy in the morning, with crocodiles in your eyes, and people, they're going to work. America, the people are hard working people. And a lot of times the corporations, that notion that you hear on TV all of the times about the loafer, about that person that's living on the dole, they would have you believe that that is just these people just want to exist with somebody else paying the bill for them. That could not be further from the truth. That's what they want you to believe because they don't want to pay taxes or they don't want to pay a living wage, right? So let me tell you, we have been given a bill of goods that have been false for a long time, and we have a media that pushes it, etc. But here it is. There's a pilot program. Well, let me read the blog that I wrote last night, and it goes as follows. The title is Harris County's Guaranteed Income Program, Uplift Harris, is in danger. And for those who want to take an action, I've always said government is you. You are the ones who determine if government is going to work correctly or not. You are the ones who are going to determine if we, the people, will really be we, the people. You are the one who's going to determine if we are going to allow the benevolency of who we can be. Last April, Harris County passed a historic guaranteed income program, one of more than 60 pilot programs across the country. Uplift Harris allotted more than $20.5 million in American Rescue Plan funds to assist 1,600 of the lowest income families in Harris County. Unfortunately, our corrupt Attorney General, Ken Paxton, could not keep his greedy hands off of poor people money. To score points in his political vendetta against Harris County, Paxton sued to stop the program, receiving a temporary injunction from our heavily based Texas State Supreme Court just a few weeks after the program was passed. Now, Harris County's Public Health Department has redesigned Uplift Harris to overcome the roadblocks imposed by the Attorney General's frivolous lawsuit. Though the newly designed plan doesn't provide the complete flexibility that struggling families deserve, it still provides a vital hand up to the 1,600 families that have already been selected so they can more easily afford rent, electricity, groceries, medical bill, and other essential needs. This rework program is the better option of two recommendations before Harris County Commissioner's Court. A second program can for selecting entirely new families, which could leave those originally selected in the cold and perhaps even jeopardize the program altogether by sending the process back through a cumbersome RFP. This second option would also completely redo the applicant pool, yanking back assistance from people who were already promised funds under the old program. The fact is that only by tailoring the program to include the original families can we save guaranteed income here in Harris County. Guaranteed income programs work. As I have said in the past, guaranteed income programs work. They are an effective method of fighting poverty, especially in a county like Harris, where working class folks must deal with one disaster after another. It is hard enough to make ends meet when roads, schools, businesses, and other institutions that allow people to live and work get shut down from the likes of Hurricane Beryl or Random Derechos. The least we can do is follow through on assistance. So we should take action. Remember, we the people, we can take action. The best way to save Uplift Harris and support guaranteed income here at home is to contact your county commissioners and the county judge and tell them to approve a plan that would give the originally selected families a fair shot by supporting Harris Health plans to revamp the program. You can make a difference on the Tuesday, August 6th. That's today. Harris County Commissioners vote by sending email and leaving a message now to contact info and tell them. I mean, you can say, hello, I need you to pass this bill that help people. Let's show government works. Let's show that government can really help working people, people that don't make a living wage, but go out there and work every day. We have a county judge and we have 4 commissioners. They are County Judge Lina Hidalgo, Commissioner Rodney Ellis, Commissioner Adrian Garcia, Commissioner Tom Ramsey, and Commissioner Leslie Briones. Let me tell you something, guys. The mission of KPFT and other nonprofits is to educate and to have folks do what is necessary to continue the education of our people. So you give Lina Hidalgo a call at 713-274-7000. You should also call Commissioner Ellis, 713-274-1000. You should also call Commissioner Adrian Garcia, 713-274-2222. You should also call Commissioner Tom Ramsey, 713-274-3000. You can also call 832-927-4444 for Commissioner Leslie Briones. And by the way, on the blog, and you can find info at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter to find out what we're talking about here. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and click on, well, I shouldn't just say this or that, but again, contact Commissioner's Court in Harris County. Speak to every single commissioner and say, I want to educate you on serving the people. I want to educate you on serving the people. That is what we are all about, serving the people. Judge Hidalgo's email is judgehidalgo@harriscountytx.gov. Commissioner Rodney Ellis's email address is COMM_Ellis at cp1.hctx.net. The email for Adrian Garcia is commissioner at pct2.hctx.net. The email for Tom Ramsey, Commissioner Tom Ramsey, is pct3 at pct3.com. And the email for Commissioner Leslie Briones is services at hcp4.net. They're voting on this today. Let's help our fellow people. That is what we are here for, to make a difference. Whenever people say government doesn't work, it means you doesn't work. You want to work? Let's make sure government works. All right, with that, let's go to Brother Tag.
Good morning, Edberto.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning?
Great, thank you. The Uplift Harris County is the typical liberal type of plan that a lot of conservative voters just are not interested in seeing happen, because they feel that the poor people are getting something that they don't. They say that the hardworking conservatives are getting ripped off when they give out free money. And that's, you've heard that before, I'm sure.
Yes.
And that's why they just don't want to see it, because they feel that they're being left out. They work hard, pay their taxes, and their tax money is given to some guy under the freeway. It's like, well, that's why these liberal policies are not very popular. And I'm hearing conservatives or Republican voters saying now they don't want to vote for Trump, but they can't take another 4 years of liberal policies. And my question to these conservatives, and maybe someone will call in and help me understand this: do they want a government that operates like our House of Representatives? Do they want President Marjorie Taylor Greene or President Matt Gaetz? Is that what we're looking for here in our government? I just don't think that our government could survive if we operated like our current House of Representatives. So that's kind of the bend I'm on today.
Well, let me tell you, first of all, our conservative right-wing brothers and sisters, they're correct about one thing. They are very much hard-working people too. That's the thing, Harry. That's the thing, Tag. All the working class, whether they're conservative or progressive, they're hard-working people. All of them. Okay? Now, here's the other kicker, which I'm going to cover in my other article about Bernie Sanders and a new poll that corroborates everything we speak about, including about most Republicans we speak about. We have to be careful with the narrative and who's telling the narrative. All these liberal programs that you and I speak about are the beneficiaries of these liberal programs skew more towards Republicans. They're the ones taking more advantage of these programs than our progressives or liberals. They're the ones that get the most. So while their government, while their churches, while these other entities speak up against these programs, speak up about the liberals and the progressives, it is they who depend on it more. If you take a look at Alabama, Mississippi, and all these other states, they're the ones that benefit most from these federal programs. And they're the ones, as I mentioned yesterday, that their governors starve more so than necessary. So, Tag, thank you for that. I need to go to Brother Joe at the bus stop. So keep listening. I think you're going to like the second topic when I get to it. All right, brother?
Thanks, Egberto. Have a good day.
You have a wonderful day. Brother Joe at the bus stop. Come on in. Joe, are you there? Maybe he's going on the bus. Let's put him on hold and go to Art. Maybe he's boarding the bus because I think he boards the bus here in Kingwood. Let's go to Art. Come on in, Art.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Yeah, that what was that program called again? It just slipped
It's
my mind.
called
One here,
it is called Uplift Harris.
Uplift. Yeah, yeah. I remember when that first started out, and yeah, they picked the poorest zip codes, I believe. I
Yes.
forget what they were. They made sure everyone there was a resident, legal resident. So there were some stipulations, and I thought it was a good thing. And when Paxton did that to take it away, I was like, come on, man. I mean, these people they're working. They're not, trying to bleed the government. They're not, welfare, dads or moms or whatever you want to call it. I mean, they just need that little extra boost to get them through the next month. There's 70%, I think I read, or 68% of Americans that are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, I mean,
And
and you know what?
I'm
It
not
went
making
down.
excuses in
Let,
that area.
all
Go
right,
ahead.
let me interrupt you a second here because I'm glad you mentioned that. The amount of people that are living paycheck to paycheck, it was, I think, 78%. It has under Biden, it dropped 10 points to
Wow.
68%. It's so sad the state that we're in. But continue, my brother. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. And then, my mom, she's one of those. She works for Spring Branch ISD. She works in the cafeteria. Recently had knee surgery, and I see her account, and it's check to check. If it wasn't for me and maybe some family members, it'd be really tough for her. And she's not the only one. There's thousands of people that could use that extra boost. And that was just a dirty move with Paxton. I don't know what maybe he already assumes they're not going to vote for him, so it doesn't bother him any. I mean, it's not going to fill his,
No,
his
but
pocket.
they don't care. Look at
It,
Mississippi.
no, they
Art,
don't.
they don't care. Mississippi is a very red state from a voting point of view. And the people in Mississippi are dirt poor in the aggregate, the poorest state in the country, I think next to West Virginia. All right. And if you take a look at, we're not talking, you can't even call it racism, right? Because if you look at, a large percentage of the black folks are poor in Mississippi. But guess what else? A large percentage of the white folks are poor in Mississippi. So, and the people who vote these folks in Mississippi are mostly white Republicans. And they're the ones that are on the dole as well, right? Not every kind of welfare there is. The numbers are out there. But these people don't care about them. They just have them fooled into believing that somehow what's wrong with them is because those other people are getting welfare, not realizing that they're all getting welfare. Not when I say all, I mean a large percentage, of course, in these areas. So we have to be cognizant of that. And Art, thank you for bringing up the story about your own mother. You can actually feel it, you can actually see it, and most Americans can feel it and see it. That is how powerful ideology is. Ideology allows you to see something bad happening, and just because of what's been pumped into your head, you don't do what you know is required to be done. Finish up for me, Art.
No, that'd be it. Thank you. Everyone have a good day. Oh,
Oh,
you
wait,
know what?
wait.
I want to mention,
Yeah, go ahead.
if you bought a generator, that FEMA website, disaster assistance, if you bought a generator during the hurricane, I
Right.
believe there's a reimbursement program.
Yes, there
That's
is.
another local thing that everyone can use some of the help on. But anyways, stop at your red lights. Everyone be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, brother Art. Appreciate you. Let's see if Joe is still there or not. Otherwise, we'll hang up and let him call back. Let's see if Joe is still on the line. Joe, are you there? Joe. Okay, we probably lost Joe. So let's go ahead and go to brother Donald.
Hey, good morning, Alberto. How are you today?
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Okay, when you were a little kid, what'd you want to be when you grew up?
Oh man, so many things. At first, I wanted to be an astronaut because remember when the Apollo 11 hit the moon, we sat down on those grainy pictures in black and white at home in my little house in Panama. And man, I wanted to be an astronaut. Then after that, I wanted to be. I've always wanted. I was always a crazy guy blowing stuff up at the house. I wanted to be an aerospace engineer, then a mechanical engineer, and then I became a mechanical engineer.
That is good. Okay. Now, kids nowadays, you know, they want to be a boy or girl, whatever they want to be when they grow up, and people go, okay, or they want to be a dog. Now, dogs hate cats, but if your kid wants to be a dog and acts like a dog and people play into that, put a plate of cat poop in front of that dog. The kid that wants to be a dog, he don't eat it, and he don't want to be a dog. That's the silliness that is weird that y'all throw the weird word around. That's the new catchphrase. But anyways, that's weird. People that want to change little kids to this, that, and the other, hey, whatever. But what is the best state in the union to you right now? What would you say is the best state?
Wow. You know, I've never thought about answering that question. That's a good question, and I don't want to give an answer on false
Think about it
premises.
tomorrow, yes. Think about it, and you
Yeah,
just figure it out, and let's see what the cost of living is. But, yeah, a hand up and a handout is two different things.
exactly.
The reason they're balking at it right now is because everything is politically driven. This is not good-natured human people being humans. And look, I've got marks on myself, and I've had to work in corporations because corporations provide insurance. When you got babies' mamas, you can't afford $200 or $300 a week in insurance. And you learn, just like I learned with Cobra, it's going to cost you almost $2,000 a month to carry your insurances over when you go independent to do something. But what we don't want to do is health care for everybody so that this guy can have a business, take care of all of his tax shelters, make all this money, have all these assets at the end of it. He needs to get a job with a corporation. Everybody has the opportunity. Sometimes one person has to work at the corporation for the benefits, and the other person can do what they want to help the family unit, or you have to live together. These are sacrifices you have to make if you want to succeed in life. But I don't
Okay,
think people
Donald, let me stop you there. I want to tackle two things, okay, that you said, and I want you to stay on the line with me here because you bring up some very important points. And here's what's interesting. You're an interesting MAGA brother because you're so progressive without probably accepting that you're progressive. And at the same time, you have some arcane thoughts that make me want to say, I got to come have some coffee so I can slap you around a little bit because you're my brother. And let me explain. This stuff about you were trying to elude onto the trans thing, okay? And I understand where you were trying to go. In other words, you can't get up and say today I feel like being a boy or I feel like being a girl. Let's first give some proportionality here. And it's as follows, Donald. So hear me good. Have you ever met a trans person?
Oh, hell, I used to have a buddy. His name's Goose. And like I
Okay,
said,
good.
when I went to
But wait, no, but
everybody
wait.
else
Hey,
was
hey,
weird.
brother.
Listen, I'm finish
Hey,
this.
hey, Donald. I just needed to answer me yes or no, brother. Come on, I'm trying to make a point here.
Okay.
All right, hear me out. Hear me out. You met in your life. You've met one trans guy.
More than that, but go ahead.
No, just give me a number. Give me a number.
Probably 10.
All right, good.
Homosexuals,
You
too. I mean, they
o-
don't bother
okay?
me.
No,
As long
that's
as
fine.
they keep it in the band.
Donald, could you please, Donald, my brother, could you be quiet? Let me
Go
answer.
ahead, go
Let me
ahead.
do this interrogate. Thank you, sir. All right, look, Donald, you probably met 10 trans in your entire life, and you've met thousands of people in your entire life. The trans thing is very insulate. It's an insulated kind of thing that's been made a story to prop people up. There. Look, all of us have. There's always in a group of a whole group things that are kind of non-standard in the group in the view of the group. When you elevate that to make that to split people on, that is what has been very effective on the right. The trans issue in school, you have hundreds of schools in Harris County where there's not one kid that is trans or one kid that is gay or one kid that is something else. But by elevating that and concentrating on something that doesn't have an effect on 99% of the rest of us, we take our eye off the ball. Now, in the same time that you have used that trans issue to be upset about, right? And by the way, for that trans person, there is something happening there biologically and otherwise chemically in their bodies that you and I don't have any experience with. And that's why empathy is so important, that instead of just coming out and say something like, you're not supposed to be that way. That's it. We're making people crazy. Look at the Olympics. Look at everything else as how the vast majority of people are. Let's not concentrate on these things that don't affect most of us. That's where we got to go. So that's number one. Number one, I wanted to kind of slap you around on that one, brother. I love you, but I still want to slap you around on that one. Now let's go ahead. Let's go ahead for the second item. Here's what you said. And by the way, I am going through that personally as well. Because when I formed Willie's Computer Software Company, I did the insurance. And I started out like $1,000 a month. Eventually, and with a $10,000 deductible, eventually paying for my own private insurance. And I've never been without insurance, health insurance, that is. Eventually, it reached a point where we're paying over I think it was like $2,000 and change a month with a $10,000 deductible, which means I was giving away $24,000 plus $10,000, $34,000 before we ever got a penny from the healthcare company. $34,000. So eventually, my wife decided, who has lupus, it's a chronic condition, said, you know what? I can go out there and drive a bus for the school district, so that I can continue doing what I'm doing here. And she does the bus a few hours a week. Now, what I'm saying is that is a decision we should never have had to make. That affects me personally. That affects every American, that when you say we have to make a sacrifice and work for a corporation, we have to go into that private corporation and work to make our family work, as opposed to saying open a pizza shop or do something else. Our economic system is a fraud because it forces me to do something that ain't necessarily natural. And what I am saying, you are saying, Donald, is imagine if we had Medicare for all. We would have choices. We wouldn't have to be forced to go to corporation A or B. We could form it ourselves. We could decide to go to corporation C. But what we've done is, by relegating health insurance to corporations, we've made ourselves slaves to them. Because we have to do these things just to get insurance, health care, to be able to survive. So in effect, that's a progressive message you also gave. Donald, my phones are filling up. I got to go. But, we talk every day. All right?
All right, later.
Thank you, brother.
Good as
All right.
always. Bye.
All right. Take care, brother. Let's a new caller. Let's go to David from San Francisco. Come on in, David.
Oh, morning, Ernesto. Yeah, I'm not a new caller. I've called 4 or 5 times, I think, at least.
Oh, okay. I didn't know which David. It said David's from San Francisco, so I said, let me go ahead and jump to David. Come on in, brother.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I was going to look at it from the angle of in the 1980s, I was interested in going to med school. And so I started and happened to read the student newspaper at that med school. And they were exposing that these big insurance companies were getting involved in buying up hospitals. And so that medical care, and they were tricking the med schools into admitting doctors that were interested in money as opposed to interested in healing. Does a med school look for actual, people that have an interest in healing, or do they look for money grubbers? And so the scandal had to do with the med schools looking for money grubbers. And so like a whole generation of, or multiple generations of doctors were run through med schools along those lines. And as it went, they planned ahead so that they were looking to admit fewer doctors so that they could make more supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctors could be, they basically put doctors on an assembly line and then created a workload for them because there are fewer doctors and most of them are money grubbers. They'll take whatever corporate money hands them out. And this was an issue 40 years ago when I was interested in going to med school. And it's, I don't know if it's better or worse today, but one of the things they warned about was there are St. Mary's hospitals, right? Well, there was a grubby HMO that was looking to buy as many St. Mary's hospitals as they could have. And at the time the article was written, they had 60 hospitals around the country named St. Mary's. And so they had this like tradition of loyalty, but they were really a money-grubbing HMO. And so we need doctors that want to heal, and we need hospitals that are work on the right.
Let me jump in here. Thank you very much, first of all, David. My daughter went to med school, finished med school, and by the way, she says the same thing that you said. There are two groups of people going to med school: the ones who are going to med school to make a whole lot of money, and others like her who simply wanted to heal people. Now, she wasn't. While she completed medical school, she had 2 strokes, so she's going to have to kind of change her career path. But again. We spoke about that, and you are absolutely correct about that. We have turned over our healthcare system to the corporatocracy, the oligarchy, and in doing so, we don't have a healthcare system. We have a system that cares more about capital than you. You are just a form of getting money for these people. We'll go through that another time, David, because my phones are filled up, and it looks like I'm not going to get to the other subject. So thank you so kindly for making your point, sir. Let's go to Joni. Come on in, Joni.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning.
2 things. The first one being the healthcare issue. So in developed nations, this has been repeated so many times. There are many other developed nations who do not attach someone's life, someone's health, to whether or not they have a job. And it's coming from the same people who say they are for life, who would say that your job is why you're worth even having life. So if you fall on hard times, if you lose your job, if you get laid off or whatever, you don't deserve health and life according to their if it's attached
philosophy.
Attached to yes. That's the therefore of it, the logical conclusion to that. Number one, and then to the trans issue, and this is it's hard to give the soundbite, but I'll try. So we know that plastic is an estrogenizing substance. And we have now, down in the depths of the ocean, all the way across the globe, we've got minute pieces of plastic. They've done studies in India where the size of male genitals are shrinking over the course of the last 30 plus years because of the extra they've correlated it with the plastics in our culture. So it's okay to let Formosa plastics or whatever plastics dump things into the atmosphere, and we keep using plastics, got put in our food supply, all that. So number one, that might be an issue that's playing into more and more people having gender dysphoria. Number one. Number two, we have, I think there could be a psychological component too, cultural psychological component where maybe nature would have it where maybe we should slow down our breeding a little bit so that we don't kill ourselves and everything else off. Anyway, that's all I got to say.
Thank you very much for those words, Joni. You have a great day, sister. All right, let's go to, let's see, Denny. Come on, Denny. Denny, you're on. Okay, let's go to, let's see, Patrick's been on. Okay, let's go to Patrick.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Hey, Donald's typically pretty sharp, but I do want to politely call him out, and I can already know what direction he's going with the low cost of living. That's a very, very, very myopic metric to decide where to live. It's very easy to go on YouTube. People will have slogans like the high cost of low cost of living. People move here and they find out that it's actually more expensive to live because where they ran from because they're paying higher taxes, they were able to jump on a train or they're able to jump on a bus. They don't have to purchase a car. They don't have to spend money on car insurance. Typically, flood insurance, or not flood insurance, but homeowners insurance is a little bit less expensive in those areas as well because crime rates are actually lower because of the money spent on social services. They also find out that it's harder to find upper level services here because once people quote unquote graduate into a life that affords them a little bit more, they leave here because they are surrounded by people that have it very, very difficult, and they don't have the infrastructure here that they can in other places. So I encourage you to think a little more in depth and even go on YouTube and research some of these people that are leaving.
I am. Thank you, Patrick. I'm glad that you said that. In other words, certain costs can seem very cheap initially until you find out all the other costs. New York City is considered a very expensive city, but because you don't need a car and you can you can take the subway anywhere and you can do a whole lot of things with street. I mean, there are a whole lot of advantages that take away that isn't immediately seen. So thank you for bringing that up. And someday we should do a show on that as far as what city is really cheaper to live in. Again, when you talk about healthcare here in Houston, if you don't consider the quality of life from healthcare, then you're missing the point as well. Patrick, I'm filled up. Got to go to some other calls, my brother. Okay.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before I get to the other calls, I'm going to go to Johnny next, but I want to salute Eric Hayes from I think Atascocita, Kingwood, Allison Dreams. I don't remember where you're from. We also in the chat we have Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain, and we have Billy Allison Irwin, I think from Houston. Thank you very much for being here in the chat. And for anyone that I missed, please go ahead and drop your name at the bottom so I can call you out. Let's go to Brother Johnny, line number 3.
When Brother Ronald McDonald tells you probably 10, that really begs credibility because of the fact that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 1% or less of our population is estimated by researchers as being trans. So even if you lived in the Castro district in San Francisco, I think you have a hard time finding 10 people that you know who are trans.
Well hold on, Johnny, hold on. I asked him how many people in his life has been trans. And, we are probably around the same age. It's not unfathomable that he's known 10 trans people. So let's take him at his word. My issue with him wasn't that how many trans he knew, was that, look, these are things that are distractions. That's the message I wanted to give. These are distractions that hurt all of us because we don't concentrate on the issues that we should be, the issues that you bring up every day. So I don't even want to talk all that much about trans on that particular issue, but talk to me, my brother.
Well, once again, you have become Karnak and you are predicting what I was going to lead to. That was part of my point. Exaggeration. And here's on a dovetail argument. He mentioned about kids deciding to be dogs or cats and all. Does he realize the influence of the Second Amendment people on the right, these far-right activists who think nothing else matters but Second Amendment rights? That was their response to all these shootings, all these school shootings. So rather than address that and talking about the problems that arise from overproduction of guns and overrepresentation of gun rights, what they do on the far right is deflect away from that problem by saying, look at all these kids in these schools wanting to be cats and dogs. No. They took something, a glimmer of truth, and they created something totally abstract and ridiculous. Where all that happened was these sandbox things. That was one or two teachers who, realizing that when children get scared, when there's an intrusion into the school with a gunman, a right-wing gun nut, what they did was to help their children. They had the idea to put a sandbox with kitty litter in the closet where they put their coats, the coat closet in the back of the classroom, so their children could relieve themselves rather than hold it in and make a mess of themselves while they're hiding for their very lives. That's what the genesis of all this was. It's not
Johnny,
kids.
and Johnny, you know the other big thing that you just brought up, and then I'm off to let you go, my brother, but you just brought up such an important thing, that the things that materially affect us every day is children having to jump under, practice real-time shooter, or whatever they call them, active shooter, that they have to do those kind of training, that we have to put them through that kind of trauma in elementary school, in middle school, in high school. That is the issue. That's an issue that's affecting everybody. So actually, thank you for bringing up that Second Amendment thing, because, the trans issue affects very few people, and it shouldn't really affect anybody, but for people who are concerned about it, it's something that they don't encounter often or even frequently. But that gun thing, about having active shooter training in every school, that has an impact on people's mind. Johnny, as usual, thank you for bringing up very prescient issues, brother.
I would say in closing that to remind folks that this is what happens when we're dealing with people on the far right. They take something that resembles truth to them and they exploit it to their end to take away attention from the real issue.
And I gotta stop you for one reason. I gotta stop you from one reason. This is a mind. I know. Okay, but I want you to internalize this one here. That is what their leadership do to them. The leadership needs them to execute the farce. So they are executing the farce for the leadership who knows better. And that's what we're living through, the execution of the farce.
It's people. I'm not blaming Donald. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that the people, the leaders, the politicians, and the right-wing media, they're the ones at fault here.
Thank you, Johnny.
Like
You're right. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, brother. Peace. All right, let's go to Chris. Come on in, Chris. And I'm going to have to limit to a minute, Chris. Go ahead.
Hey, Alberto. Just real quick, wanted to say if you can donate to KPFT, donate, do it, support this radio. And secondly, I was watching TV yesterday and saw a very interesting commercial where Arizona is saying, hey, doctors, you're having trouble practicing in Texas. You don't want to do this. You can't do this. It's, illegal for this, or it's against standards. Come to Arizona where we'll let you do that and we'll let you work and be able to actually practice medicine. Just a funny little thought, talking earlier about how we're losing medical doctors and everything. It's true.
You're nailing it, brother. You have nailed it. My daughter said the same thing, that there are people now that what she saw in her last year med school is people are deciding not to practice in places like Texas because exactly for the arcane, backward, troglodytic way that we have now. Thank you, brother. You have a wonderful day.
Sir.
All right, let's Eric, there's not one piece of misinformation that was given on this program today. If you believe that, you write it down there and put your name attached to the misinformation that we've given here, and I'll point it out. Jimmy, come on in, my brother. Jimmy, Jimmy.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, my good brother.
Yeah, there was an article in the Chronicle just this last week about how those programs do little or no good, but I was wondering if you happened to read that.
No, I haven't, but guess what I've done? You're talking about the Uplift Harris, etc.?
Yeah.
It's not true. Those are.
I think they do some. I think they do some good. Not commend Rodney Ellis for sponsoring that program.
Let me answer you, Jimmy. Let me answer you, okay? Because I know this stuff. I go to conferences every year where I speak to progressive activists over and over again. And what we do is we don't depend on what you feel. We depend on studies. We depend on science. And there are basic income studies of many forms throughout the country. And you'll see me, I think I interviewed a couple of folks. I don't know if I did a basic income interview when I went to Philadelphia, not Philadelphia, when I went to, where did I go? For the Netroots conference this year. But I have 2 consecutive years where I did a basic income interview with pilot programs all over the country. They work. They uplift people. People move forward with it, and then after they built themselves up, they wean themselves off of the basic income program. I mean, it's basic income. Ideally, you'd never have to wean yourself off of it because it's a basic income. But these programs had a start and stop, so we had to do it. So they work. Anybody that tells you otherwise, Jimmy, they're lying to you. And that article, I haven't read it, but it would be a lying article that bent the data.
Okay, I have some advice for people who are living paycheck to paycheck. First of all, pay your credit cards off each month in full. Don't pay those monthly payments with all that interest in there. That keeps you broke. Secondly, try to buy cars for cash, starting with used cars. That'll save you money on interest. Plus, you can buy a lot less insurance. You can buy just the liability insurance for your car. That'll save you a ton of money also. So those are 2 things.
Thank
pay
you.
your credit cards off.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate you. Of course, there are a lot of people who don't have that ready cash to do that, so we have to be cognizant of that. Okay, let's go to Destiny real quick. Destiny, I can only get a minute out of you.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. This is completely off topic, but I just wanted to call and let my voice be heard. I don't know what percentage of your listeners are female, but I've been listening for a couple months, and maybe I've missed them, but I don't really hear any girl callers, so I just wanted to say, hey, we're here.
You know, first of all, Destiny, love you, girl. Thank you, sister. I ask women to call all the time, and my gut feeling tells me that we live in a patriarchal society. A guy's probably not the one running and taking care of the kids at 6 in the morning, etc., etc., etc. Thank you for saying that. And women, please start calling more often. Destiny is absolutely right. Joni just called. Joni is a woman, and we get Moses, and we get a few others that call, but not as frequently as the guys. So you are so right, Destiny, and thank you for pointing that out. And I hope some women are listening to you.
All right, thank you. You guys have a good day.
You too, Destiny. All right, let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian. Real quick, 1 minute. I'm out of time.
Yeah. First off, the last active school shooter was a transgender person that was black, and she wrote a manifesto about killing white people. So don't blame Second Amendment rights on people that have lost their mind and is crazy.
Okay, let's stop. Brian, it doesn't matter if the person was black, white, trans, or otherwise, but most active shooters are not black and trans, okay? That's a statement of fact.
Yeah,
so just pointing out that it's no, they're not. But that's not the point, Brian. The point is, if we didn't have the loose gun laws, we wouldn't have that. But I got to go to Don. Brian, I love you, man, but that statement just sort of got to me.
Yeah, I'm going to go into the Second Amendment because that's something you rarely talk about because apparently you don't know anything about it.
I read the entire Constitution, and I know it very well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so have I. I'm going to go into it.
All right, look, let's do that another day, Brian. I got to go to Don. Come on in, Don. Yes, you're on, Don.
You were just, your statement that you never presented anything false on there, and I've kind of been following you for a couple of months and doing some of my own fact checking as it were. But just today alone, it's New Mexico that's trying to lure medical people professionals away from Texas, not Arizona. And that last guy that was just on there, that trans shooter, that was not a black man. That was a white girl. And she was trans. She's the one, I think that took place in Tennessee, was it?
No, I think it happened here in Texas at the church, isn't it?
It was a school. It was a school. She shot 2 or 3 adults and 2 or 3 children. I think she killed
Okay.
6 people.
Okay. No, okay, but the person was trying to say that I was given misinformation. That's what he was trying to say. I don't think he was talking about the callers.
Yeah, he was wrong because he was saying that was a black trans, and that's not true.
Yeah. No,
I saw
I
it on the news.
okay,
Anyway,
I hear you, Don. I hadn't heard of a black trans doing anything in about shooting up or whatever. But Don, I'm out of time, so please call a little bit earlier the next time. But I gotta jump to the studio right now. Thank you for being here, my brother. Go ahead, studio. Come on in.
Oh, here we are. Good morning, Egberto. And Jack, I don't have any things here. Go ahead, Jack.
Well, I was thinking about the trans issue, and these young people that want to reassign themselves. In some ways, the medical field could be exploitive in this matter because they're saying they can do it. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
Let's take that up the next tomorrow.
Oh.
Let's follow that up. I gotta go. But folks, I want to say thank you
I was
all.
gonna say,
Go ahead, real quick.
yeah, I wanted to throw my 2 cents in. Yeah, they're right. That is a distraction. There's not that the trans thing is not that big. It's just a distraction.
Thank you, my
That's
brother.
it.
Anyway, folks, love you all my callers, all my listeners, all my chatters. We didn't get to all the subjects. politicsandright.com/newsletter is where it's at. politicsandright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.